Hello and welcome to Once Upon a Time, our favorite time to tell stories and talk about books and share some of our favorites with you. I'm Catherine Poulter and I'm the children's librarian.
And I'm Becca Hyde and I'm an early childhood librarian at Marshall Library.
And we really love our jobs. One of the things that I love most is being able to read stories to you. So for the first book that I chose, it's one of my very favorites. This is called Farmer Duck. It's by Martin Waddell, and the illustrations are by Helen Oxenbury. And I love this book. Here we go. Farmer Duck. Oh, look how bleak the landscape looks. And the poor duck. Here we go. There once was a duck who had the bad luck to live with a lazy old farmer. The duck did the work. The farmer stayed all day in bed. The duck fetched the cow from the field. "How goes the work?" called the farmer. The duck answered, "Quack." The duck brought the sheep from the hill. "How goes the work?" called the farmer. The duck answered, "Quack." The duck put the hens in their house. "How goes the work?" called the farmer. The duck answered, "Quack." The farmer got fat through staying in bed, and the poor duck got fed up with working all day. "How goes the work?" Quack. 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 Soon the poor duck grew sleepy and weepy and tired. The hens and the cow and the sheep got very upset. They loved the duck, so they had a meeting under the moon and they made a plan for the morning. "Moo," said the cow. "Baa," said the sheep. "Cluck," said the hens. And that was the plan. It was just before dawn and the farmyard was still. Through the back door and into the house crept the cow and the sheep and the hens. They stole down the hall. They creaked up the stairs. They squeezed under the bed of the farmer and wriggled about. The bed started to rock, and the farmer woke up and he called, "How goes the work?" And moo, baa, cluck. They lifted his bed and he started to shout, and they banged and they bounced that old farmer about and about and about right out of the bed. And he fled with the cow and the sheep and the hens, mooing and baaing and clucking behind him. Down the lane, moo, through the fields, baa, over the hill, cluck. And he never came back. The duck awoke and waddled wearily into the yard, expecting to hear, "How goes the work?" But nobody spoke. And the cow and the sheep and the hens came back. "Quack?" asked the duck. "Moo," said the cow. "Baa," said the sheep. "Cluck," said the hens, which told the duck the whole story. Then, mooing and baaing and clucking and quacking, they all set to work on their farm. And look how verdant and green it is. The end.
Oh, lovely.
I love that book.
Lovely cooperative work. And speaking of cooperative work, here we have a book to celebrate the season of construction work and road work. Mighty, Mighty Construction Site is a new book by Sherry Dusky Rinker and Tom Lickenfield. And here we go. Mighty, Mighty Construction Site. Down in the big construction site, 5 trucks wake to the morning light. It's time to stretch, roll out of bed, and gear up for the day ahead. They wipe their faces, load the fuel up, greet the sun, rev up, and run. They're eager to get things underway. There's a brand new job to start today. The plans unrolled, they stare in awe. The biggest thing they ever saw, a massive building so immense. This giant job will be intense. It's a lot for them to do, too much for just a 5-truck crew. Cement mixer is thinking fast. He gives his horn a blaring blast. Honk, 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 honk. Mighty trucks all hear the call. They start up in no time at all. Out on the road they drive full steam. They rush right in to join the team. Rolling, rumbling, revving hard, 10 big trucks meet in the yard. A mighty, massive super crew. There is nothing they can't do. Bulldozer's heavy, wide, and grand. He'll push and plow to clear the land, but even he can use a hand. Skid steer's nimble, small and quick. She turns, she spins, she does a trick. Skid's breaker bit blasts rocks to rubble, so Dozer rolls through without trouble. 2 friends at work, one big, one small. They clear the way, they move it all. Each long trench is marked and planned. Excavator digs the land. Then backhoe grabs a drainage pipe and sets it down in one smooth swipe. Turn and dig, then lift and drop, then push some dirt right back on top. They set each pipe and then repeat. This duo doesn't miss a beat. Pulling up with all his might, crane truck lifts a beam to height, and then he spins his hook around. But just before it touches ground, crane truck gasps out in surprise. He's used up all of his supplies. But what's this coming down the road? Could it be another load? Mighty flatbed revs and runs, smoothly hauling 50 tons down the road and over hill. Her load strapped light, so nothing spills. On sight, she rolls right to a stop with crane supplies all stacked on top. Flatbed trucks just saved the day. Their work can get back underway. Front end loader and dump truck pair to move great loads from here to there. Digging, lifting, hauling ground, giant piles are moved around. Loader digs and scoops his fill, then tilts it up so there's no spill. His bucket raises to the max, then beep, beep, beep as loader backs. Dirt and gravel hauled away. These pals move mountains every day. Cement mixer is working hard around the whole construction yard. Load after load, he churns and pours, makes foundations, roads, and floors. But now the concrete needs to climb, and here is Pumper right on time. Pumper's boom unfolds, goes high, reaching up toward the sky. Fill the hopper, flip the switch, and zoom, concrete is pushed into the boom. Up through the pipe, it does not stop. Then concrete comes out way up on top. Churn and pour and lift and fill. This team works hard with speed and skill. Rough and rugged all day long, rolling, lifting, digging strong. Each truck has had a part to play to help the work get done today. Just like the plan, the job's complete. This awesome team just can't be beat. Cooperation got it done. Teamwork made it fast and fun. The new crew leaves, but on their way, crane truck waves. Great work today. The crew drives off, engines loud, feeling tired, but strong and proud. It's getting dark. The sun has set. The trucks are tired as they can get. They roll to find their cozy beds, to cuddle up and rest their heads, to close their eyes and drift away. New adventures await. Another day. Construction site. All tucked in tight. Great work today. Now shh. Good night. The end.
Oh, wow, that is a good story.
Start of the day till the night, the lovely night.
Very nice. Here is the story of some other construction. This is called Sven's Bridge. It's by Anita Lobel. This was her first book, and she wrote it 52 years ago. Amazing.
Wow.
She has been writing for a long time. Here we go. Sven's Bridge. In a little village by a river lived a man named Sven. Sven worked as a watchman on a drawbridge. He liked his work. Every day he carefully washed the bridge and oiled the machinery. When boats sailed by, he opened the bridge to let them through. The people of the village enjoyed their bridge, and they loved Sven for taking good care of it. On summer days, friends could visit each other on both sides of the river. "Good afternoon, Sven," said all the people. In winter, Sven would make a fire and serve hot chocolate to everyone. One day, a big boat came sailing up the river. "Look, Sven, look!" shouted the children. "The king is coming! Open the bridge for the king!" But before Sven could open the bridge even halfway, the king cried angrily, "What a place to have a bridge! So inconvenient when one travels!" "Hurry, hurry," he raged, stamping his foot. "I shall be late for dinner." Suddenly, the king lost his temper altogether. He shouted, "Fire away!" The cannon boomed, and the bridge was blown into 1,000 pieces. For many months, the people tried to visit friends as they had before, but it was not easy without the bridge. Sven built a boat. All day long he worked hard, ferrying people from one shore to the other. "It just is not the way it used to be when we had the bridge," everyone said. Late one night, Sven heard the sound of horses' hoofs across the river. The king was returning home from a party. But the night was dark and the coachman was tired, and before anyone could cry, "Stop!" the royal carriage rumbled into the river. Sven rushed to rescue everyone. As he helped the king into the boat, His Majesty sputtered, "What a place not to have a bridge! It makes traveling very dangerous." But inside the house, the king recognized Sven and remembered why there was no bridge. "This is all my fault," he said gloomily. Then Sven served hot chocolate and cinnamon buns, and everyone began to feel more cheerful. Suddenly the king had a royal idea. "My bridge builders must come and build you a new bridge," declared His Majesty. "It would make traveling much easier again," Sven agreed. And he served the king another cup of hot chocolate. The very next day, work on the new bridge began. "This bridge will be very tall," the king explained. "When I pass by in my boat, I shall sail right under it." "That's nice," Sven said. "Perhaps the bridge will last longer that way," he thought it to himself. When the new bridge was finished, all the people from both sides of the river came to celebrate. They threw flowers and waved goodbye to the king. They kissed their friends and danced until dawn. Sven loved taking care of the new bridge. He swept it and polished it every day, and every evening after the sun had set, he hung bright lanterns on the bridge so that travelers could find their way home in the dark. The end.
Fun story.
A nice story.
Here is a true story about the wonderful invention of the most popular instrument, the piano. Here is The Music of Life, Bartolomeo Cristofori, and the Invention of the Piano. Written by Elizabeth Rush and illustrated by Marjorie Priceman. And each little section gives you a dynamic, a musical dynamic. Pianissimo, very soft. In Padua, Italy, Bartolomeo Cristofori's home, since his birth, a hush envelops the room as the instrument maker carefully adjusts the tuning pins of a clavichord. Feet pad across the room, cloth rustles, sand falls silently through an hourglass. Cristofori treasures the quiet so he can coax just the right notes from the delicate instrument. He strikes the key firmly, and inside the clavichord, a small metal strip presses a string. A pitch-perfect pianissimo note trembles out. In the garden, starlings chatter, nearly overpowering the soft sound. Crescendo, becoming louder. Outside, a parade of pounding hooves and clattering wooden wheels grows closer and closer, louder and louder. Horses whinny, snort, and stamp as a young prince and his entourage spring from the carriages to the cobblestones. His Highness Prince Ferdinando de' Medici. Word of Cristofori's gift for tuning and restoring keyboard instruments has spread throughout the land. The prince, an accomplished musician, has come to examine Cristofori's work for himself. Forte, loud. Cristofori shows the prince to a harpsichord, a keyboard instrument that plucks stiff strings. Ferdinando sits and begins to play. Forte notes, strong and loud, ring out. Prince Ferdinando yearns for his court to become the musical center of Italy. He urges Cristofori, "Come to Florence, join my court." Cristofori is torn, reluctant to leave the peace of Padua. Crescendo, becoming louder. But the prince makes an offer Cristofori cannot refuse. A house complete with all the furnishings he could need, generous pay, a month worth of 12 scudi, and with all the furnishings he could need, an important position, master instrument maker and tuner. Best of all, Cristofori would be able to work with the most elegant keyboards in Italy and have the chance to build some beautiful new ones of his own. So Cristofori sets off for Florence. Fortissimo, very loud. When Cristofori arrives, he installs his work table in the long row of the famous Medici workshops, alongside the most talented stone engravers, goldsmiths, lathe workers, tapestry weavers, and potters of the region. How different from his workshop at home. Wool beaters thump and looms clatter-clack. Ka-chunk goes the printing press. The cabinet makers saw and bang endlessly. Cristofori can't hear himself think. Even worse, he can barely hear the instruments he is trying to tune. Decrescendo poco a poco, softening little by little. So Cristofori moves his workshop out of the hubbub and into his house. He planes boards and saws keys as a fire crackles in the hearth. He glues joints as thin plates clink in the kitchen. He tunes strings as a nearby fountain splashes joyfully. Bells toll and clang and chime, ringing in the dawn, the days, the weeks, and the years, as Cristofori restores 16 of the prince's keyboard instruments and builds from scratch 9 more. The prince and the people of Florence find Cristofori's work to be masterful. But for Cristofori, his creations are not good enough. The harpsichords and the clavichords he restores and builds can only do so much. Mezzo piano, moderately soft. As Cristofori ponders this problem, he delivers harpsichords to the Medicis' Pitti Palace for concerts in the gardens. There he marvels at great stone statues. How sculptors he once worked beside have brought marble to life. Cristofori lugs harpsichords to the prince's favorite villa outside the city for concerts in the theater. There he admires the prince's room of small paintings by great masters. How artists have evoked a moment in time with just color and line. Crescendo, becoming louder. Cristofori accompanies harpsichords to Pratolino, the prince's summer residence, for magnificent operas. There, Cristofori hears violins, violas, and voices ringing from a hushed whisper to a bellowing bravado, capturing all a person can feel. How much can be expressed with stone and paint and bows on strings. If only Cristofori's keyboard instruments could so fully express the music of life. The instrument maker yearns to create a new keyboard, one that can be played as softly as a gentle rain and as loudly as a booming thunderstorm. But how? Crescendo, becoming louder. Cristofori wanders the streets and workshops of Florence. All around him hammers rise and fall. Tink, tink go the tiny hammers of the goldsmiths and silversmiths. Tap, tap, the sculptor's mallet strikes. Bang, bang, the blacksmith's sledgehammer pounds. Even in the piazzas, hammers dance above dulcimers, filling the air with a rich range of sounds. Maybe hammers could be the solution. Mezzo forte, moderately loud. But what should the hammers be made of? Wood? Paper? Leather? Cristofori scours the bustling markets of Florence for a variety of materials. With the clink of gold florins, he pays the shopkeepers. Back at his workshop, Cristofori wonders what would be the best design for the hammers. He experiments, carving wood carefully. The hammers begin to take shape, wide at the base, narrow in the middle. The hammers will strike stretched strings, he decides. But what kind of strings? Brass, steel, gut, or gold? The string should be strong enough to explore pounding, but still vibrate richly. For a warm, clear tone, he chooses brass and stretches the strings tightly across a strong cypress soundboard. Next, and now, the instrument maker faces the toughest challenge of all. How can musicians change the volume simply by varying the pressure on the keys? Cristofori experiments with different ways for the keys to control how fast and how forcefully the hammers swing. At first, the hammers strike too hard, breaking the strings. Then they tap too softly to be heard. They sometimes even rebound, striking the note twice. Finally, Cristofori crafts a clever solution. Now pressing a key flings a hammer at the string. Immediately, the hammer falls back and is caught, poised to play again. The inventor assembles a long row of keys, hammers, and strings in a sturdy wooden case. Cristofori gazes at his masterpiece, which is covered in red leather, lined with green taffeta, and trimmed with gold ribbon. On the outside, it looks just like a harpsichord, but inside is the marvelous new mechanism. What will his patron think of it? Cristofori is pleased, but he is not done. For years, he tinkers endlessly with his pianoforte, making the mechanism smoother and even more responsive. But the keyboard is so sensitive, musicians struggle to play it. Hit a key a little too hard, dong, or too soft, ding, and the volume follows. The more responsive Cristofori makes his instrument, the more reluctant musicians are to play it. Dong, ding. Undaunted, Cristofori spends the rest of his long life perfecting his invention, coaxing it to respond precisely to a musician's touch. He hopes that someday someone will use it to capture the music of life. Morendo, dying away. A few royal courts buy Cristofori's amazing pianoforte, but still the harpsichord reigns as the most popular keyboard in the land. And before he is able to see his instrument embraced widely by musicians, Bartolomeo Cristofori dies in 1732 at the age of 76. Dal niente, out of silence. But Bartolomeo Cristofori's invention lives on. An article about his amazing instrument is published in Germany, and an organ maker there begins crafting pianofortes. The instrument slowly spreads across Europe. Crescendo, becoming louder. Musician Joseph Haydn tries a pianoforte for the first time. Its responsiveness lights his imagination on fire. In a concert in 1777, the young virtuoso Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart dazzles an audience with the instrument's expressive possibilities. From that moment on, Mozart and countless others compose all their keyboard music for the pianoforte. Molto crescendo, becoming much louder. Fortissimo, very loud. Cristofori's invention, eventually called simply the piano, becomes a powerful tool in the hands of brilliant composers everywhere. Ludwig van Beethoven's piano rings out, rising and full of joy. Johannes Brahms' piano soothes to sleep. Scott Joplin's piano dances. Clara Schumann's piano sings. Claude Debussy's piano makes moonlight. And today, all around the world, in the hands of countless musicians, young and old, Bartolomeo Cristofori's piano captures the music of life. The end.
What a beautiful story.
And I love the way it's illustrated.
And now I want to go play the piano. But instead, I will read a book. This is one of my favorites. It is called The Bear Skinner. It's a tale of the Brothers Grimm, retold by Laura Amy Schlitz, and illustrated by Max Graffe. And oh, it's beautiful, in words and pictures. I like this picture of the forest. And here is a picture of a butterfly, a symbol of hope. They say that when a man gives up hope, the devil walks at his side. So begins this story. A soldier marched through a dark wood, and he did not march alone. It was winter. The soldier's uniform hung in rags. His boots were cracked and his pockets were empty. If I had gold, he thought, I would go to an inn and order roast duck and a bottle of wine, but he knew he would go to sleep hungry that night, lying on the hard ground. He was used to that. He had run away to war when he was a boy. Now the war was over, and he had nowhere to go. His childhood home was ashes, and all that he loved were dead. The wind shredded the clouds. All at once, the moon shone, casting a blue light through the trees. The soldier saw the one who had shadowed him, a handsome devil dressed in a long green coat. His right foot was clad in a black leather boot, but his left foot was the hoof of a goat. That was how the soldier knew who he was. What do you want? Demanded the soldier. Nothing, answered the devil. You're the one who's hungry and cold. You'd sell your soul for a hot supper and a soft bed. Never, said the soldier, because he knew that the man who sold his soul becomes the devil's slave and burns in hell. The devil shrugged. The choice is yours. I should like to make you rich, but if you are afraid... I fear nothing, said the soldier. We shall see, said the devil, and he pointed to the thicket. Look there. The soldier looked where the devil had pointed. The branches moved. Behind them was something strong and dark, with fierce gleaming eyes. If there was anything the soldier knew how to do, it was to shoot straight. He raised his rifle and fired. Down fell the bear with a bullet in his heart. Brave fellow, laughed the devil. Here is the game I should like to play. For the next 7 years, I will see to it that your pockets are full of gold, more than you can ever spend. But during those 7 years, you must follow my rules. If you break them, your soul is mine. Otherwise, you will be rich your whole life long, and your soul will remain your own. What are the rules? Asked the soldier. The devil offered him a knife. First, skin the bear. The soldier took the knife. It was so sharp that the bear's pelt slid off like the skin of a peach. The devil took the wet bearskin and draped it around the soldier. He leaned so close that the soldier felt the heat of his breath. "You will be called Bearskinner," the devil said softly. "For 7 years you will wander the world clad in this skin. Inside it you will find a pocket that can never be emptied. You will have all the gold you need. But during the 7 years you may not wash, or cut your hair, or trim your beard, or file your nails. And during those 7 years you may tell no one of the bargain we have struck. And you must not pray to God. If during the 7 years you kill yourself, your soul is mine." The soldier stood silent. His fists were clenched. "Open your hand," said the devil, "and touch what will be yours." The soldier groped until he found the pocket in the bearskin. He drew out a handful of treasure, gold and silver and gemstones. It seemed to him that he smelled spiced wine and roasting meat and bread hot from the oven. He swayed on his feet, dizzy with hunger and desire. "Do you accept the bargain?" asked the devil. "I do," said the soldier. He left the devil in the wood and marched to the next town, where he had his roast duck and the wine he craved. And that night he slept in a clean white bed. So began the first year. The soldier bought everything he wanted, food and wine, trinkets and treasures. He was so rich that every door was open to him. He grew filthy, and the bearskin stank, but he bore the stench and the filth bravely. By the second year, he no longer looked like a man in a bearskin. He looked like a bear, with thick yellow claws and a matted beard. Lice gnawed at his flesh, and he raked himself until he was covered with scabs. People began to mock him. By the third year, he no longer looked like a bear, but like a monster. The rotting bearskin felt as heavy as iron. Children pelted him with stones. Men and women fled from him. It was only when he brought out his money that they let him come near. Then they bowed before him as if he were a prince. The bearskinner despised them for their greed. He loathed himself. He began to dream. Night after night, he dreamed that he drowned himself in the river that ran snake-like through the city. The dreams haunted him. He knew that if he ended his life, the devil would gain his soul. But at last the night came when he left his bed and went to the river. He stood on the bridge and stared through the rain at the black water. He wanted to shriek, "Oh, God!" but he shut his lips because that was a prayer. At that moment, he heard the sound of someone crying. The sobs rose up from under his feet. He followed the sound. A woman and her child had taken shelter under the bridge. The night was raw, and her child shivered and wailed. When the woman saw the bearskinner, she tried to flee, but she was faint from hunger, and the child in her arms was heavy. The woman fell to her knees. The bearskinner was filled with pity. "Don't be afraid," he said. He reached into the bear's pouch. "Look, here's money. Take it." And because he saw that she was too frightened to approach, he threw the coins, tossing handful after handful of gold onto the wet earth. The woman stared. Then she crept forward and touched one of the coins. "That's right," said the bearskinner. "Take them all. They're of no use to me. Buy food for the child." He backed up a step, and the woman lifted her head. "God bless you," she cried. The bearskinner's heart leapt. "Pray for me," he begged. All at once he saw how he might live. He would use the devil's money to feed the poor people of the city, and so he did. The soldier grew more and more repulsive. His bearskin crawled with maggots, and he reeked. But he no longer hated himself, and he lived in the hope that he would defeat the devil and the poor of the city blessed him. Now the soldier's dreams changed. Often he dreamed that he walked in a cloud of butterflies. They shimmered with color, surrounding him so closely that they shielded him from the devil. When he awoke, he knew that the butterflies were the prayers of the poor. And another year went by. In the 4th year, the soldier came upon a man who had gambled away his fortune. "I have been a fool," wept the man, "and lost more than I can ever pay. They will put me in prison, and what will become of me?" "I will pay," said the bearskinner, and he heaped a great mound of coins in front of the man. "But what can I do for you?" asked the gambler. And the bearskinner answered, "Pray for me." "I will," said the gambler, "but I will do more." He tugged at the soldier's sleeve. "Come home with me. I will give you one of my daughters for a wife. I have 3 daughters, and all of them are beautiful." It had been years since anyone invited the soldiers home, so he went. The gambler summoned his daughters and told them that one of them must marry the bearskinner. The eldest daughter held herself proudly. Her fine eyes flashed. "How dare you, father?" she asked. "How dare you bring home a creature like that?" And before her father could answer, the youngest daughter covered her face with her pretty hands. "Oh, father," she whimpered, "I'm frightened." But the middle daughter was neither angry nor afraid. She came and stood before the bearskinner. She was so close that he caught the fragrance of her hair, and the smell was like apple blossoms. She looked into his eyes as if she were searching for something. The bearskinner caught his breath. "I believe you have a good heart," she said. "I will keep my father's word." The bearskinner reached into his pouch. From a fistful of trinkets he drew out a gold ring. He broke it in 2. 1/2 he kept, 1/2 he gave to the middle daughter. "Keep this for me," he said. When I come back, I will ask you to marry me. Wait for me." And she promised. The bearskinner returned to his wanderings. For 3 more years he traveled the world, giving away the devil's gold. Often he thought of the gambler's daughter and wondered if she would keep her promise. At last the 7 years were over. The bearskinner made his way back to the wood where he had first met the devil. It was winter again, and the skull of the slain bear lay on the grass. The devil came slowly, dragging his goat's hoof. The soldier smiled at the devil. "I have won." The devil said, "Your soul is your own," as if the words tasted bitter to him. "Wait," commanded the soldier. "We are not quite finished with each other. For 7 years you made me dirty. Now you will make me clean." The soldier made the devil drag the bear skin off of his shoulders. He forced the devil to cut his hair and trim his nails and wash him. The devil gnashed his teeth and gagged, but the soldier had mastered him, and the devil had to do his bidding. When at last he was clean, the soldier took the devil's green coat. He wrapped it around himself and walked barefoot, whistling. The next day he bought new clothes. He rode to the gambler's house on a dapple gray horse. As he trotted through the streets, he looked so merry and gallant that people turned their heads to stare after him. When he knocked at the gambler's door, the gambler did not recognize him. The bearskinner announced that he was seeking a bride, and the gambler called his daughters. How eager they were to wed this handsome stranger. The oldest daughter fanned him, and the youngest daughter fed him bits of cake as if he were a lap dog. But the middle daughter kept apart, watching him with questioning eyes. At last the soldier asked why she was silent. "She has promised to marry another," said the eldest daughter. Such a fierce fellow, a great ugly bear of a man. And the youngest daughter pressed her fingers over her lips and giggled. Is that true? Asked the soldier. Is he really so ugly, this man you are going to marry? His eyes are not ugly, answered the middle daughter. His eyes are like yours. The soldier clapped his hands and called for a bottle of champagne. He poured 4 glasses. He put his half of the gold ring in one goblet and gave it to the middle daughter. When she drank, she glimpsed the bit of shining metal in her wine. Her face lit up, and he held out his hand to her. I have come back, said the soldier. Will you marry me? She gave him her hands and said she would, and she looked so happy that her sisters hissed with envy. So the middle daughter married the bear skinner. The love between them lasted a lifetime, and so did the soldier's fortune. He always had more than enough, and he always shared with people who had nothing, and never again did he bargain with the devil. The end. Oh, can you see why I like that story? I really do. I have another one for you. This one is one that I read to my kids a lot when they were little. It's called On Market Street. It's also by Anita Lobel, and it won a Caldecott Honor Award. Here we go. On Market Street. The pictures are beautiful. The merchants down on Market Street were opening their doors. I stepped along that Market Street. I stopped at all the stores. Such wonders there on Market Street. So much to catch my eye. I strolled the length of Market Street to see what I might buy. And I bought apples, books, clocks, donuts, eggs, flowers, gloves, hats, ice cream, jewels, kites, lollipops, musical instruments, noodles, oranges, playing cards, quilts, ribbons, shoes, toys, umbrellas, vegetables, wigs, Xmas trees, yarns, and zippers. My arms were full on Market Street. I could not carry more. As darkness fell on Market Street, my feet were tired and sore, but I was glad on Market Street. Those coins I brought to spend, I spent them all on Market Street. On presents for a friend. The end. Now there's a really funny one. I like this one. It's called How I Became a Pirate. This book is written by Melinda Long, and it's illustrated by David Shannon. How I Became a Pirate. Pirates have green teeth, when they have any teeth at all. I know about pirates because one day, when I was at the beach building a sandcastle and minding my own business, a pirate ship sailed into view. I knew what it was because its flag had a skull and crossbones on it, and because I could hear the pirates singing, "Hey ho, blow the man down." They were a little off key. I tried to tell Dad, but he was busy setting up the beach umbrella. I tried to tell Mom, but she was busy slathering my baby sister with sunblock. So I went back to my sandcastle, but I kept an eye on the pirates. By then, they were rowing to shore. When they landed, the head pirate climbed out of the boat and yelled, "Ahoy thar, matey! Be this the Spanish Main?" "No," I said, "this is North Beach." "Shiver me timbers," the pirate said. "We must have taken a wrong turn at Bora Bora." He walked around my sandcastle. He looked at the moat, then he yelled back to his crew, "He's a digger and a good one to boot." "A good one to boot," the others all agreed. "What be your name, matey?" the head pirate asked. "Jeremy Jacob, sir," I told him. "Well, Jeremy Jacob," he said, "you're looking at Braidbeard and his crew. We've been needing a digger like yourself, and we've a chest of treasure to bury." "Aye, treasure!" the others shouted. "You're coming with us," Braidbeard told me. I didn't think Mom and Dad would mind, as long as I got back in time for soccer practice the next day. That's how I became a pirate. As soon as we were on board, Braidbeard showed me the chest of gold and jewels. "Got to find a safe place for this here treasure. It's high time we were off," he announced. "We're off," we all shouted. And then we set sail. There was plenty to do on board. The pirates taught me to sing sea chanties, the louder the better, and to say real pirate stuff like landlubber and scurvy dog. By dinner time, I could speak pirate perfectly. I also learned pirate manners. Braidbeard pounded his fist on the table and yelled, "Down the hatch, me laddies!" "Down the hatch!" we all shouted. Braidbeard gulped his food and said, "Hand over the meat!" "The meat!" we all roared. Nobody told us to finish our spinach, there wasn't any, or to chew up our carrots. They weren't allowed on board. We talked with our mouths full, and nobody said please or thank you. After dinner, I tried to teach the pirates to play soccer. Braidbeard kicked the ball and yelled, "Arg, soccer! Arg, soccer!" the crew all yelled. Then everybody dove for the ball at once, and it rolled right off the deck. "After it, me hearties!" Braidbeard commanded. "After it!" we all whispered. We fought over who would get the ball, but it didn't matter anyway because a shark came along and swallowed it in one gulp. So much for soccer. By now it was past my bedtime, but nobody tells pirates to go to bed, to take a bath, or to brush their teeth. Maybe that's why their teeth are green. Pirates sleep with one eye open, just in case, and they don't change into pajamas unless they want to. Pirates don't do anything they don't want to, except for maybe swabbing the decks. I wanted to be a pirate forever. But when I found out what else they don't do, when I couldn't stay awake any longer, I asked Braidbeard to tuck me in and read me a story. "Tuck you in," he bellowed. "Pirates don't tuck. No tucking," the crew cried. And the only thing they had to read was a map. "Don't you have any books?" I asked. Braidbeard looked confused. "Books?" I didn't even bother to ask about a goodnight kiss. It wasn't easy to fall asleep without a story, but I was finally dozing off when a storm broke. Thunder boomed and lightning flashed. I tried to hide under the covers as waves slammed up against the ship, but I kept falling out of my hammock. I couldn't find anyone in the cabin. They were all on deck. "Lower the sails," Braidbeard shouted. "Batten down the hatches." Everybody ran around yelling and lowering and battening. Nobody had time to sit close and tell me it would be over soon. Nobody even noticed me. I decided I didn't want to be a pirate after all. Just then, flash, crash, crack! Lightning hit the mast and split it right down the middle. "What'll we do now?" yelled one of the pirates. "We'll have to turn back," called another. "But the treasure," hollered Braidbeard. "Where will we bury the treasure?" I stepped up. "Maybe I can help," I shouted over the wind. "I think I know the perfect digging spot." When the storm was over, we rowed back to shore and buried the chest. We drew a map so that we could find the treasure again, but I don't think I'll need it. It's buried in Jeremy Jacobs' backyard. After that, the pirates repaired the ship and got ready to set sail. Before they left, Braidbeard handed me a flag and said, "You make a fine pirate, Jeremy Jacob. Guard that treasure well. We'll be back to get it soon enough." "Soon enough," the crew repeated. "And if you ever need us," Braidbeard added, "just run the Jolly Roger up yonder pole." "Up yonder pole," the others shouted. And maybe I will, but not today. I have soccer practice. The end. Oh, I like that story too. I have one more for us. This is called Noisy Night. It's by Mac Barnett, and the pictures are by Brian Biggs. Look at this very, very tall skyscraper apartment building. And in it, there's a little boy who is trying to sleep. He's trying, but it is a noisy night. What is going la 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 above my head? La la la. A man is singing opera above my head. What is going ma 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 above my head? A baby is cooing above my head. Ma ma ma. What is going ba 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 above my head? A sheep is speaking above my head. What is going ha 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 above my head? Cowboys are laughing above my head. What is going wah 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 above our heads? A girl is playing a trumpet above our heads. What is going caw 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 above my head? A crow is squawking above my head. What is going rah 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 above my head? Cheerleaders are cheering above my head. Rah rah rah. What is going cha 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 above our heads? A couple is dancing above our heads. What is going blah 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 above our heads? An old man is hollering, "Go to bed!" The end. And that is the end of our show today. Thank you for joining us. Please come back to the library and talk to us about books. We love to hear everything that you have to say about books, and we have a few things to share with you too. So come to the library, talk about books, and read some books. Thank you. Bye-bye.